The pale morning light filtered through the towering windows of the United Earth Council chamber, casting long shadows across the polished marble floor. Admiral He-Jin's boots echoed in the vast space as he approached the central podium, each step heavy with the weight of the moment. His weathered face, marked by years of service, remained composed despite the gravity of the situation. 200 representatives from Earth's nations sat in concentric circles, their faces a mix of concern and determination. The chamber, built deep within the Rocky Mountains, had been designed to withstand even the most devastating attacks. Its walls, reinforced with materials unknown to the rest of the galaxy, housed technology that would make the Empire's scientists weep with envy. As He-Jin reached the podium, he pulled a small crystal from his pocket. The Empire's message cube. The air above the podium shimmered, and a towering hologram materialized. High Commander Li Ta-Wan's figure loomed over the assembly, his imperial uniform adorned with medals that caught the light. His face bore the artificial smoothness of someone who had undergone too many life extension treatments. People of Earth. Ta-Wan's voice resonated through the chamber, each word dripping with condescension. After careful observation spanning your last century, the Galactic Empire has determined that your species has achieved sufficient development to warrant integration into our civilization. Your technological progress, while primitive, shows promise. Your genetic diversity is interesting. The pause after interesting made several council members shift uncomfortably. They knew what it meant. The Empire's infamous breeding programs that had destroyed dozens of species. You have one planetary rotation to submit to Imperial authority. Your world will be assigned a governance level based on your compliance. Resistance. Ta-Wan's hologram smiled, showing too many teeth would be unfortunate. We await your response. The hologram vanished, leaving the chamber in tense silence. Admiral He-Jin remained at the podium, his knuckles white as he gripped its edges. The message arrived 6 hours ago, he said, his voice steady. Our deep space sensors detected an Imperial fleet assembling at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. They're staying just outside our declared observation range. Defense Minister Kim Bo-ra stood, her traditional hanbok contrasting sharply with the modern setting. Despite her small stature, her presence commanded attention. They don't know, she said, the simple statement carrying years of careful planning. Murmurs rippled through the chamber as screens descended from the ceiling, displaying classified information that made several representatives gasp. Earth's true defensive capabilities, hidden beneath a carefully maintained facade of primitive technology, scrolled past in detailed diagrams. Project Phoenix, Bo-ra continued, walking to join He-Jin at the podium. While the Empire watched our visible progress in rocket technology and basic AI, they missed the quantum laboratories beneath the Pacific. When they monitored our first fumbling steps into fusion power, they didn't detect the zero-point energy plants inside Mercury. He-Jin nodded, bringing up new displays. Our observers in Imperial space confirm they believe Earth possesses technology equivalent to their industrial integration level 3. In reality, he pressed a button, and a new set of comparisons appeared. We surpassed their current military capabilities approximately 15 years ago. The Australian representative raised her hand. Then why maintain the charade? Why not show our strength? Bo-ra's expression hardened. Because we learned from others' mistakes. The Centaurians revealed their advanced technology too soon. The Empire declared them a threat and eliminated their entire civilization in 3 days. The Proxima colonies tried to match Imperial power openly. They lasted a week. But us? She smiled grimly. We played weak. We played primitive. We let them underestimate us while we studied them, learned their weaknesses, and prepared. And now, the Brazilian representative leaned forward. They're forcing our hand. Admiral He-Jin straightened his uniform. Now we have a choice. Submit to an empire that has destroyed 17 civilizations in the past century alone, or he activated another display, showing Earth's hidden orbital defense grid, the quantum shield generators, and the antimatter production facilities on Mars. or we show them why patience and preparation are humanity's greatest weapons. The chamber erupted in discussion, but He Jin noted the determined set of most faces. Humanity had spent 50 years preparing for this moment, building in secret, advancing in shadows. The Empire thought they were dealing with a primitive species barely reaching for the stars. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Bora checked her quantum comlink, its display invisible to Imperial scanning technology. The fleet is moving closer. They're likely expecting us to panic, to rush our decision. She looked up at the assembled representatives. I suggest we give them exactly what they expect. For about 6 more hours, just long enough for our final defense systems to power up completely. He Jin nodded, a grim smile touching his lips. After all, it would be rude not to give them a proper welcome when they come to collect our submission. The United Earth Council settled in for what would become one of the most important days in human history. Outside, the sun continued its climb across the sky, unaware that by the time it set, the galaxy's balance of power would change forever. Dr. Park Jin-woo's fingers traced the smooth surface of the quantum core, its faint blue glow pulsing like a heartbeat. Deep beneath the streets of Seoul, in a facility that officially didn't exist, he watched the monitoring screens as the Imperial diplomatic vessel entered Earth's atmosphere. The ship's energy signature matched exactly what their spies had reported. The Empire hadn't upgraded their technology in decades, confident in their superiority. "They're right on schedule," his assistant whispered, eyes fixed on the trajectory plots. The massive underground chamber hummed with hidden power, quantum shields ready to activate at a moment's notice. 50 years of work, of keeping Earth's true capabilities secret, had led to this moment. Jin-woo remembered the day they'd finally cracked the quantum shield formula. It had been raining above ground, but a kilometer beneath the Earth's surface, his team had created the first stable quantum barrier. The shield had started small, just large enough to cover a coffee cup, but that tiny achievement had changed everything. Now, hidden generators across the planet could protect entire continents. On the main screen, the Imperial ship descended toward the Singapore Diplomatic Center, its hull gleaming with the artificial perfection that marked Imperial technology. Jin-woo's hands clenched as he thought of the ship's crew, especially Coordinator Lee Do-hyun, the traitor who had sold Earth's secrets to the Empire decades ago. Do-hyun's betrayal had actually helped Earth in the long run, convincing the Empire that humans were primitive and easily corrupted. Ambassador Song Mei-rei stood at the landing pad, her traditional hanbok moving gently in the breeze. She had trained for years for this moment, learning to project exactly the right mix of awe and nervousness that the Empire would expect from a primitive species. Behind her, the Singapore skyline sparkled, carefully designed to show just enough advancement to be believable, while hiding the true extent of Earth's capabilities. The Imperial ship landed with a display of unnecessary flourish, its engines releasing decorative light patterns meant to impress lesser species. The boarding ramp extended, and out walked Lee Do-hyun, now wearing the elaborate uniform of an Imperial coordinator. His face showed the same artificial smoothness as all high-ranking Imperial officials, his movements too perfect to be natural. "Ambassador Song," Do-hyun said in Korean, his accent now carrying the clipped tones of Imperial standard. "How fascinating to return to Earth after all these years. You've made such modest progress." Mei-rei bowed slightly, exactly the degree that would be considered polite but not submissive. "Coordinator Lee, Earth welcomes peaceful dialogue with the Empire." Each word was carefully chosen, part of a diplomatic dance choreographed by teams of psychologists and cultural experts. From his underground command center, Jin-woo watched multiple camera feeds of the meeting. His screen showed not just visible light, but energy readings, quantum fluctuations, and dozens of other measurements. The Imperial delegation carried exactly the kinds of scanning devices their intelligence had predicted, all of which would find exactly what Earth wanted them to find. "The Empire is generous," Do-hyun continued as they walked toward the conference room. "Your integration will be smooth. Your people well treated. You'll have access to Imperial technology, Imperial medicine. He smiled, showing two perfect teeth. Imperial protection. Myre's face showed just the right amount of uncertainty. We appreciate the Empire's generous offer. However, we have questions about the terms of integration. Do-hyun's smile didn't waver, but his eyes hardened slightly. Questions are natural for a developing species. We will explain everything in terms you can understand. The conference room they entered was another masterpiece of deception. Its technology was advanced enough to impress a primitive species, but not so advanced as to raise suspicion. Hidden quantum sensors recorded everything, while Imperial scanning devices found exactly the level of technology they expected. Jinwoo switched his main screen to the conference room's interior feed. The Imperial delegation, 6 members in total, sat across from Earth's representatives. Their posture, their expressions, everything screamed of absolute confidence in their superiority. Myre opened the formal discussions with practiced diplomatic phrases, but Jinwoo's attention was on his secondary screens. The quantum shield network was fully powered, hidden generators across the planet ready to activate in microseconds. If the Empire tried anything aggressive, they would find Earth far from defenseless. Earth remains sovereign, Myre finally declared, her voice unwavering. We decline integration into the Empire. The silence that followed was perfect. Do-hyun's face showed exactly the mix of surprise and contempt they had expected. Behind him, other Imperial officials exchanged glances that mixed amusement with annoyance. Perhaps, Do-hyun said slowly, as if speaking to children, you don't understand the opportunity being offered. The Empire doesn't usually give primitive worlds a choice in integration. Myre's reply was cut off by a priority alert on Jinwoo's screen. Imperial ships were moving into attack position, just as their intelligence had predicted. The Empire never came to diplomatic meetings without military backup. Jinwoo sent a coded signal to Myre's neural implant, technology the Empire couldn't even detect, let alone understand. She received the message without showing any outward sign, continuing her diplomatic exchange while fully aware that Earth's defenses were ready. The future of human independence would be decided in the next few moments, and Earth was ready. Jinwoo allowed himself a small smile as he monitored the approaching Imperial ships. They thought they were dealing with a primitive species making a foolish choice. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. The news of the Imperial trade embargo flashed across every screen in the Global Resources Commission's underground command center. Director Kang Hee-sung watched his staff's reactions, noting with pride that not a single person showed fear. Instead, knowing smiles spread across faces illuminated by the soft blue glow of holographic displays. They think they're starving us into submission, Hee-sung said, rising from his chair to address the room. The massive wall screen behind him showed real-time data from Earth's hidden production facilities. Automated farms beneath the oceans, matter converters in abandoned mines, and energy collectors orbiting the sun disguised as space debris. Dr. Yoon Soo-min stepped forward, her lab coat spotless despite having worked through the night. The Empire's databases still show Earth as primarily dependent on fossil fuels, she said, pulling up comparative charts. They believe cutting off our access to their advanced energy systems will cripple our infrastructure. Hee-sung nodded, remembering the decades of careful planning that had led to this moment. Every visible power plant on Earth's surface used deliberately outdated technology, while the real power grid operated far beneath the surface. The Empire's satellites saw exactly what Earth wanted them to see, a planet struggling to advance beyond primitive energy sources. Status report, he called out to the room. Department heads responded one by one, their voices calm and confident. Food production at 300% of global needs. Energy reserves at maximum capacity. Manufacturing centers operating at optimal efficiency. Medical supplies stockpiled for the next 50 years. The Empire's embargo ships hung in high orbit, their presence meant to intimidate. They intercepted all incoming and outgoing traffic, expecting to see panic spread across the planet as supplies dwindled. Instead, Earth's population went about their daily lives, completely unaffected by the blockade. In another section of the command center, Captain Choi Yun-ho hunched over his quantum terminal, watching streams of data flow across multiple screens. His cybersecurity team had detected the first Imperial probe attempts within minutes of the embargo announcement. The Empire's digital attacks were impressive by most standards, but painfully predictable to Earth's advanced systems. "They're launching another wave," one of Yun-ho's analysts called out. "Standard Imperial infiltration pattern, just like the training simulations." Yun-ho allowed himself a small smile. For years, Earth's hackers had studied Imperial code, finding weaknesses and leaving carefully hidden backdoors. Now, as the Empire's probes attempted to breach Earth's defense grid, those preparations paid off. "Initiate protocol mirror," Yun-ho commanded. His team's fingers flew across their keyboards, executing the counterattack they had rehearsed countless times. The Imperial probes, designed to infiltrate primitive computer systems, instead found themselves caught in a web of quantum encryption far beyond their capabilities. "Probes captured," another analyst reported, beginning data extraction. On the main screen, the Imperial code was being dissected and analyzed, revealing even more weaknesses in their systems. Each attack attempt gave Earth's defenders more information about Imperial technology, while revealing nothing about Earth's true capabilities. Director Kang moved to Yun-ho's station, watching the operation with satisfaction. "How many attempts does this make?" 17 in the past 6 hours, Yun-ho replied, not looking up from his screens. Each one using slightly different algorithms, but all based on the same outdated quantum principles. They still think we're using binary computing systems. In the background, Dr. Yoon's team continued monitoring Earth's hidden infrastructure. The self-sustaining ecosystems she had developed were marvels of bioengineering, combining advanced technology with natural processes in ways the Empire had never imagined. Vast underground farms produced food without sunlight, while engineered bacteria converted waste back into usable resources with perfect efficiency. "Director," a communications officer called out, "we're detecting increased activity in the Imperial fleet. They appear to be frustrated by their lack of success." Hee-sun walked to the central platform, where a holographic display showed the positions of all Imperial ships around Earth. Their formation had become less organized, ships moving in patterns that suggested growing uncertainty. "They expected us to break quickly," he said to the room. "Their historical data shows most civilizations surrender within days of a full embargo. Instead, they see no panic, no chaos, no signs of hardship at all. It's making them nervous." Dr. Yoon joined him at the display. "The Empire has always relied on resource control to maintain power. They've never encountered a truly self-sufficient world before. They don't know how to handle a civilization that doesn't need them." Another alert sounded. The Empire was launching its largest cyber attack yet. Captain Choi's team sprang into action, their defended systems easily absorbing and redirecting the assault. This time, instead of simply blocking the attack, they sent back carefully crafted data packets designed to create confusion and doubt in Imperial command. "Look at their ships," Yun-ho called out, pointing to the display. The Imperial vessels were breaking formation, their coordinated blockade showing signs of strain. Their own probes are feeding them conflicting information. They can't understand why their tactics aren't working. Director Kang watched with satisfaction as the Empire's carefully planned embargo began to unravel. Earth had spent generations preparing for this moment, building redundancies into every system, hiding their true capabilities beneath a carefully maintained facade of primitive technology. The Empire had miscalculated badly, and now they were beginning to realize it. But they still didn't understand just how badly they had underestimated humanity's capabilities, and that was exactly how Earth wanted it. The alarms in Lunar Command blared to life as space itself seemed to tear open. Commander Li Juwan's Imperial Assault Fleet emerged from hyperspace in a dazzling display of purple-white light, their ships arranged in the Empire's standard attack formation. 50 warships, each bristling with weapons that could level cities, spread out in a deadly fan aimed at Earth. Colonel Nam Jia-yun stood calmly in the center of Lunar Command's operations dome, her reflection barely visible in the transparent ceiling that showed the stars above. The massive underground base, hidden beneath the moon's surface for decades, hummed with power as defense systems activated. Imperial fleet holding position at 600,000 kilometers, reported Lieutenant Park from his monitoring station. They're broadcasting their demands. Jia-yun nodded, allowing Commander Li's hologram to materialize in the center of the command floor. His face showed the same artificial perfection as all Imperial officers, his uniform decorated with medals from previous conquests of primitive worlds. "This is your final warning," Li's voice boomed through the chamber. "Submit to Imperial authority or face immediate pacification. You have 10 minutes to lower your pathetic defenses and accept our terms." Jia-yun made a small gesture, and the hologram vanished. Status of the Quantum Shield Network. All generators at full power, Colonel. Earth is completely protected. Gravitic weapon platforms. Armed and ready. The Empire still hasn't detected them. She allowed herself a small smile. For years, Earth had hidden its defensive capabilities behind a facade of primitive satellite technology. The Empire's scans showed only basic communication arrays and early warning systems. They couldn't detect the quantum shield generators hidden in plain sight, disguised as ordinary satellites, or the gravitic weapon platforms concealed within asteroid-like shells. 5 minutes until their deadline, Lieutenant Park announced. Jia-yun opened a channel to all Earth defense stations. "This is Colonel Nam. Execute Protocol Thunderbolt on my mark. Remember your training. Today, we show the Empire exactly what humanity is capable of." The Imperial fleet began moving into attack position, their ships spreading out to surround Earth in a classic encirclement pattern. Their energy weapons powered up brilliant points of light that would have struck terror into any truly primitive civilization. "Their weapons are locked on major population centers," reported the tactical officer. "Standard Imperial intimidation tactics." 2 minutes. Jia-yun watched the tactical display, noting how the Imperial ships positioned themselves exactly where Earth's defense planners had predicted they would. The Empire's military doctrine hadn't changed in centuries. They'd never needed to evolve when fighting against weaker opponents. 1 minute. All defense stations report ready, Colonel. The Imperial deadline passed. Commander Li's fleet launched their first salvo, thousands of energy beams streaking toward Earth's surface. They expected to see cities burn, to watch humanity's primitive defenses crumble. Instead, the quantum shields activated. A shimmering blue barrier materialized around the planet, absorbing the Imperial attack without a trace. On her tactical display, Jia-yun saw the energy readings from the Imperial ships spike as they registered confusion. "Now," she ordered quietly, "show them what Earth can do." The gravitic weapons activated simultaneously. Dozens of innocent-looking pieces of space debris suddenly revealed their true nature, generating gravitational fields that could bend space itself. The Imperial fleet, caught completely by surprise, found their carefully planned formation torn apart. Multiple Imperial ships reporting drive failures. Lieutenant Park called out, his voice steady despite the excitement. "Their artificial gravity systems are being overwhelmed." Jia-yun watched as the mighty Imperial warships began to tumble helplessly in space, their crews experiencing forces they had never trained for. Earth's gravitational weapons didn't just attack the ships, they disrupted the very physics the Empire relied on. "Secondary attack pattern," she commanded. "Target their weapon systems only. Let's show them we can be precise." The gravitic fields shifted, now focusing on specific points of each Imperial vessel. Weapon mounts crumpled under impossible pressures, sensor arrays collapsed, and communication dishes imploded. Earth's attack was surgical, deliberate, and completely unlike anything the Empire had ever encountered. Commander Lee's flagship managed to stabilize itself enough to launch another attack. The energy beams splashed harmlessly against Earth's quantum shields, which now glowed bright enough to be visible from the surface. Imperial vessels attempting emergency hyperspace jumps, reported Tactical. Their drives are failing to activate within our gravitational fields. Jai-Yun nodded. Deactivate fields on all ships except the flagship. Let them run. The Imperial fleet began to retreat, their formation completely abandoned as ships jumped to hyperspace the moment they were free of Earth's weapons. Soon, only Commander Lee's flagship remained, held in place by precisely controlled gravitational forces. Open a channel, Jai-Yun ordered. The command center's holographic system activated, showing Lee's face now twisted with rage and disbelief. Before he could speak, Jai-Yun's voice cut through the connection. "Let this serve as a warning," she said calmly. "Earth is not what you thought we were. We are not primitive, we are not weak, and we are not yours to command. Take this message back to your empire. Earth and the Sol system are closed to Imperial forces. Any further military action will be met with an overwhelming response." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We're releasing your ship now. I suggest you use this opportunity to leave while you can." The gravitational fields released their grip on the Imperial flagship. For a moment, it hung motionless in space, as if its commander couldn't believe what had happened. Then, with a flash of purple light, it vanished into hyperspace. Jai-Yun turned to her crew, noting the pride in their faces. "Send word to Earth Command. The Empire has been given its warning shot. Now we prepare for their real response." Above them, through the dome's transparent ceiling, the stars continued their eternal dance, unchanged by the battle that had just rewritten the balance of power in the galaxy. Intelligence Director Kim Ta-hyun stood in the heart of Earth's hidden broadcast center, surrounded by screens showing thousands of Imperial communication channels. For 50 years, Earth had secretly tapped into these networks, gathering evidence while appearing too primitive to even understand faster-than-light communication. "All stations report ready," Surveillance Chief Yoon Da-hai announced, her fingers dancing across the quantum interface. The broadcast center, buried deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, contained the most powerful transmission system ever built by human hands. "We can break into every Imperial frequency simultaneously." Ta-hyun nodded, his expression grim. "Show me the final compilation one more time." The main screen lit up with images that made even seasoned intelligence officers flinch. Decades of surveillance had captured the Empire's true nature. Their systematic destruction of civilizations that refused to submit, their genetic harvesting programs, their use of entire species as disposable labor. The Centaurians were first, Da-hai narrated as the footage played. "We watched through hidden quantum cameras as the Empire destroyed their world. Then the Proxima colonies, the Sirius Alliance, the Vega Confederation, 17 civilizations in the past century alone." The footage continued, showing Imperial integration camps, where resistant populations were processed, their genetic material harvested before their elimination. Each image was tagged with multiple authentication codes, making it impossible for Imperial censors to dismiss them as forgeries. "Begin the transmission," Ta-hyun ordered. "All channels, all frequencies. Let every species under Imperial control see the truth." Da-hai's team activated the broadcast system. Earth's quantum transmitters, far more advanced than Imperial technology, broke through every security measure the Empire had established. On thousands of worlds, billions of screens suddenly showed the same images. "People of the galaxy," Ta-hyun's voice rang out in every major language, translated perfectly by Earth's AI systems. "For too long, the Empire has hidden its true nature. Today, we show you what they really are." The evidence flowed out in a carefully planned sequence. First, proof of the Empire's lies about Earth, showing how humans had deliberately hidden their true capabilities, gathering intelligence while appearing primitive. Then the devastating evidence of Imperial atrocities, each incident documented in irrefutable detail. "They're trying to block the transmission," one of Dahai's operators reported. "Their cybersecurity teams are attempting to shut down the network." "Let them try," Dahai replied with a small smile. Earth's transmission systems used principles the Empire didn't even understand. Their attempts to stop the broadcast were like trying to catch starlight with a fishing net. On the monitoring screens, they could see the immediate impact. Riots broke out on Imperial core worlds as citizens saw the truth about their government. Long-suppressed resistance movements suddenly found themselves with overwhelming public support. Species that had been forced into submission began to question their masters. "Second phase," Taihan ordered. The broadcast shifted to show Earth's recent victory over the Imperial fleet. "Let them see that the Empire can be defeated. Show them that resistance is possible." The images of Earth's advanced technology, carefully hidden for so long, now served a new purpose. Every subjugated species watched as humanity's quantum shields and gravitic weapons humbled the supposedly invincible Imperial warships. "Imperial emergency broadcasts detecting," an analyst called out. "They're claiming the footage is fake, trying to dismiss it as primitive Earth propaganda." "Send them the genetic records," Dahai commanded. "Show them proof of their own DNA manipulation programs. Let's see them deny their own genetic database." The broadcast continued relentlessly. Earth had planned this information warfare campaign as carefully as any military operation. Each piece of evidence was timed and targeted for maximum impact, using psychological profiles developed over decades of surveillance. "Reports coming in from the outer colonies," someone announced. "3 systems have already declared independence. Their imperial governors are being detained by local security forces." Taihan watched the chaos spread across the Empire with satisfaction. "How many channels are we still holding?" 98%, Dahai replied. "Their attempts to stop us are actually helping spread the transmission. Every time they try to block a frequency, our system splits into 2 more." The Empire's carefully maintained image of benevolent leadership was crumbling. Species that had been forced to forget their own histories were suddenly remembering. Worlds that had been told they were alone in resisting Imperial rule now saw they were part of a larger struggle. "Final phase," Taihan ordered as the 6th hour of broadcasting began. "Show them the way forward." The transmission shifted again, now displaying plans for a new alliance of free worlds. Earth offered its protection, its technology, its resources, not as conquerors like the Empire, but as equals. The message was clear. There was an alternative to Imperial rule. "Incoming transmission from the Imperial Palace," Dahai reported. "They're requesting immediate diplomatic contact." Taihan allowed himself a small laugh. "I'm sure they are. After 50 years of deception, after they threatened our world and tried to force us into submission, now they want to talk." He looked around the broadcast center, at the humans who had worked for years in absolute secrecy to prepare for this moment. "Keep broadcasting. Let them see exactly what they're dealing with." The Empire thought they were integrating a primitive species into their dominion. Instead, they've awakened something they never expected. A civilization that spent generations preparing to break their power forever. The truth continued to spread across the galaxy, carried by Earth's quantum transmitters, unstoppable and undeniable. The Great Deception was over, but its impact was just beginning to be felt across the stars. The United Earth Council chamber was packed beyond capacity as General Park Min-ho adjusted his dress uniform one final time. The massive underground hall, carved from solid rock beneath Mount Fuji, hummed with anticipation. Representatives from every nation on Earth had gathered for what would become the most important announcement in human history. President Han Se-jin stood at the central podium, her face composed despite the weight of the moment. Behind her, a massive holographic display showed real-time images from across the solar system. Earth's hidden fleet revealing itself at last, defense platforms emerging from their camouflaged positions around every planet and major moon. "The time has come," Seijin said quietly to Minho as they waited for the global broadcast to begin. 50 years of hiding, of playing weak, all leading to this moment. Dr. Park Jin-woo's voice came through their secure communicators. Quantum barrier generators at full power. All systems are ready. The broadcast began. Every screen on Earth, every Imperial communication channel, every frequency across the galaxy carried the signal. President Han's image appeared before billions of beings across thousands of worlds. People of Earth, and all free beings across the galaxy, she began, her voice steady and clear. For generations, humanity has hidden its true nature from the Empire. We presented ourselves as primitive, as weak, as suitable for conquest. Today, that deception ends. The holographic display behind her showed Earth's real technological achievements: quantum shields that could protect entire planets, gravitic weapons that could reshape space itself, energy systems that made Imperial technology look primitive in comparison. The Sol system is hereby closed to all Imperial personnel and vessels, Seijin declared. Violation of this order will result in immediate defensive action. We are not asking permission. We are not negotiating terms. We are declaring our absolute and unconditional independence from Imperial authority. General Park stepped forward. To demonstrate the seriousness of this declaration, we now activate humanity's greatest achievement. He nodded to Jin-woo's image on a secondary screen. The scientist's fingers danced across his quantum interface, initiating the program they had prepared for decades. It began slowly at first, a shimmer in space near Pluto's orbit. Then the effect spread, a cascade of quantum fields linking together, growing stronger and more visible with each passing second. The barrier encompassed Neptune, then Uranus, Saturn, Jupiter, spreading inexorably inward. The quantum barrier now being erected, Minho explained to the watching galaxy, represents technology far beyond Imperial understanding. It will enclose the entire Sol system in an impenetrable shield, allowing only authorized vessels to pass. On the displays, they could see Imperial sensor stations going crazy, their instruments unable to comprehend what they were detecting. The barrier passed Mars, its energy field now visible as a faint blue shimmer even to the naked eye. We know the Empire's response to independence is typically swift and brutal. President Han continued. We've watched you destroy 17 civilizations that dared to resist, but you'll find Earth is unlike anything you've encountered before. The quantum barrier reached its final position, a perfect sphere encompassing Earth's entire solar system. Jin-woo's voice came through again. Barrier stable at full power, all systems nominal. Across the galaxy, billions watched in awe as a single star system successfully sealed itself off from Imperial control. The Empire's own communication networks, still under Earth's control after the Great Revelation, carried the images everywhere. To those species who have suffered under Imperial rule, Seijin said, her voice growing passionate, look upon this moment. See that resistance is possible. See that the Empire can be defied. Earth stands ready to share its knowledge, its technology, its protection with any who seek freedom. The chamber erupted in applause, but Minho's attention was on his tactical displays. Imperial ships across the galaxy were changing course, moving toward Earth. They would arrive to find something unprecedented. An entire star system protected by technology they couldn't begin to understand. Let them come, he muttered, watching the Imperial vessels approach. Let them break themselves against our shield. President Han raised her hand for silence. To the Empire itself, we say this. Your time of unopposed dominion is over. You thought you found another primitive species to absorb into your empire. Instead, you've awakened humanity, and we've spent 50 years preparing for this exact moment. The quantum barrier shimmered in space, visible from every planet and moon in the solar system, a testament to human determination and ingenuity. Behind it, Earth's true power stood revealed at last, not as a primitive world suitable for conquest, but as a civilization that had outmaneuvered the greatest empire the galaxy had ever known. "The deception is over," Seijin declared. "The truth is revealed, and the Sol system is now closed to Imperial authority. Forever." The broadcast ended, but its impact was only beginning to spread across the stars. Humanity had thrown down a challenge to the Empire, protected by technology that had been 50 years in the making. The galaxy would never be the same. The massive chamber beneath Mount Everest glowed with soft blue light as representatives from 30 former Imperial worlds took their seats. Each delegate wore their species' traditional formal wear, creating a stunning display of galactic diversity. Ambassador Song Meirei stood at the central podium, her traditional hanbok a reminder of humanity's own cultural heritage. Quantum translators ensured perfect communication as species that had once cowered under Imperial rule now sat together as equals. The Centaurian survivors, their crystalline forms catching the light, sat beside the floating gas beings of the Sirius Collective. The silicon-based life forms from Vega shared space with the energy entities of Proxima Centauri. 3 months ago, Meirei began, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. These worlds lived in fear of Imperial power. Today, we gather as free systems, ready to forge a new path forward. The holographic displays showed real-time images from across the galaxy. Imperial authority was crumbling as more worlds declared their independence, protected by Earth's quantum shield technology freely shared with all who sought freedom. "The Free Systems Alliance is not an empire," Meirei continued. "We are not conquerors or masters. We are partners, equals united by our desire for freedom and cooperation." In his private observatory high above the chamber, Admiral Hejin watched the proceedings through multiple displays. The stars visible through his quantum blast ceiling seemed brighter somehow, as if reflecting the hopes spreading across the galaxy. "The Empire never understood what they awakened on Earth," he said to his AI assistant. "They thought they found another primitive species to dominate. Instead, they found humanity at its most patient, its most determined." Below, Meirei was outlining the Alliance's founding principles. Every member world would maintain its independence while sharing technology, resources, and defensive capabilities. Earth's quantum shields would protect them all, while their combined scientific knowledge would push the boundaries of what was possible. "We offer friendship to all species who seek freedom," Meirei declared, her words echoing across 1,000 worlds. "The age of Imperial dominion is over. The age of cooperation begins." The chamber erupted in a cacophony of celebration, each species expressing joy in their own unique way. The Centaurians chimed melodiously, their crystalline bodies resonating with pure tones. The Sirius beings pulsed with colorful gases, while the Vegans created intricate patterns in the silicon dust they used for communication. Hejin's displays showed similar celebrations erupting across the galaxy. On former Imperial worlds, billions of beings were watching this moment, seeing hope replace fear in their leaders' eyes. Initial reports from the outer systems, his AI reported. 17 more worlds have formally requested membership in the Alliance. The Empire's attempt to blockade them was stopped by their new quantum shields. Hejin nodded, remembering the long years of preparation that had led to this moment. Earth had not only developed advanced technology in secret, they had planned for every detail of the Empire's eventual collapse. In the chamber below, representatives were signing the Alliance Charter, each in their own way. Some used traditional implements, others transferred genetic codes, while some simply pulsed their agreement in patterns of light or energy. The Empire's response? Hejin asked his eye. Their fleet remains scattered. Most of their ships are occupied trying to maintain control of their core worlds. Their attempts to breach Earth's quantum barrier have failed completely. Meirei's voice rose again. Let this day be remembered not as a victory of one species over another, but as the moment when the galaxy chose cooperation over domination, freedom over fear. Hejin watched as the Alliance representatives began discussing their first joint projects. The Centaurians' expertise in crystal technology would combine with Earth's quantum science. Syrian gas manipulation would enhance Alliance ships' life support systems. Each species brought unique strengths to share. Humanity's greatest achievement, he mused, wasn't our technology. It was our patience, our ability to plan and wait for the perfect moment. The stars continued their eternal dance overhead as the galaxy entered a new era. Earth had not merely broken free from imperial control. It had changed the fundamental balance of power among the stars, not through overwhelming force or military might, but through careful planning, hidden strength, and the power of truth. We did not just survive. He-Jin said quietly to the stars, we showed the galaxy a better way forward. Below, the Free Systems Alliance continued its founding session, species that had once been enemies now working together as friends. The age of imperial domination was truly over. The future belonged to those who chose cooperation over conquest, friendship over fear. Humanity's long deception had ended. Their true journey, leading the galaxy toward a brighter future, was just beginning.